Hello Summoners and welcome to our second episode of Pro Counters. My name is Christoph and in this video we're going to go over the counter picks to the meta champions in patch 9.13. By the end of this episode you'll have some extra picks to help you win more games. And as always, feel free to leave comments or suggestions down below. We're always reading your suggestions. But before we get started, make sure to go to ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements to your rank right now. With our Pro Pass you get exclusive Pro courses, and we also have a new feature called InstaPro which provides unlimited 24/7 on-demand coaching from the best of the best. Over 100,000 gamers have currently used InstaPro and ranked up significantly, and over 1 million gamers have used Pro Guides thus far. So don't miss out on this opportunity, rank up now using the link below, and let's jump right in. First up, we're kicking off the top lane with Illaoi. Especially because she's a strong pick into dominant laners like Tahm and Pantheon, Illaoi is a solid counter pick choice. She's an extremely strong side laner and infamous for her 1v9 potential. The common theme for countering split pushers is to collapse on them, but we all know how that'll work when we try to 2 or 3 man the Illaoi. In winning matchups, she'll prove to be an annoyance who continues to outpressure her opponent and pull several members into her lane. When playing Illaoi, focus on landing poke and going for extended trades after pulling your enemy's spirit. You'll want to utilize your Q and your tentacles to try and hit both your opponent and their spirit at the same time. Once you hit 6, don't be afraid to immediately pull the trigger anytime your opponent is in range. Pull their spirit and ult immediately to force a fight or convincingly win a short skirmish with your opponent. Usually the enemy will fight you and lose, or they'll take a hefty chunk of damage so that you can take lane control and pressure them under their turret. You'll look to commit to pulling pressure into his side lane and fighting multiple enemies, or pushing and then flanking your enemies. Our second pick for the top lane is Neeko. With her versatility to build as either an AD split pusher or an AP pick maker, Neeko is nearly a universal counter pick. In almost any matchup, at least one of her builds will be a decent counter, and if not, she can stabilize lane versus most lane bullies. The first thing you need to do when playing Neeko is choosing which build you'll go. Based on your matchup, you can go AD against champions you can kite and split push versus, or AP against other ranged champions and farm matchups. As AD Neeko, you're going to create solo leads for yourself and commit to hard splitting later in the game. You'll still be a formidable teamfight threat, so look for flank opportunities and force fights at objectives. As AP Neeko, you'll push your lane hard and group with your team every chance you get. The AP Neeko build utilizes Glacial Augment along with GLP and Twin Shadows, turning you into a pick-making machine. Use Twin Shadows to slow mispositioned enemies, follow it up with a root, and finish it with an ultimate or GLP them to continue chasing. Off of picks, you'll be able to pressure objectives or bait enemies into walking into you. In either case, look for big plays with your ultimate. Alright, now let's move down into the jungle. If you guys are interested in taking your jungle skills to the next level, then please click the description link below where we have a ton of resources on how to increase your rank as a jungle main. Starting off with Olaf. Olaf disappeared from the meta for a while, but is now resurfacing as a counter pick to many of the strongest junglers right now. With his insane attack speed steroids and low Q cooldown, Olaf is able to outduel many skirmishing junglers like Elise or Udyr, and also take on tank junglers with his true damage from his E. The only downside is that his mid and late game can be pretty underwhelming. All he can do is run at opponents and pray he kills them. By the later parts of the game, Olaf is practically a stat check, so you'll need to utilize his early game dominance to neutralize the enemy jungler. For clears, you have a lot of options. Olaf is fast and his passive lets him clear faster the lower he gets. Going leashless will not hit your clear speed as hard as other junglers, so if your laners need to be in lane, go ahead and give them that break. Since Olaf's clear speed is insane, you'll want to clear through the jungle quickly and take a fast reset for items. If you do see gank opportunities, don't be afraid to go for them either. Even if you get counter ganked, Olaf is great at small skirmishes early on, so don't hesitate to take any opportunities you see. If you ever get the enemy jungler low, don't think twice about invading. You want small skirmishes early, so try and draw attention by fighting the enemy jungler or starting neutral objectives. Try to get early game leads and continue to snowball by invading and taking neutrals. Alright, next up is Sejuani. The thing about Sejuani is that she's not really known as an oppressive jungler. She has some favorable matchups in the jungle, but what makes her great is that she can pretty much play any matchup. Even when the enemy locks in a jungler who might want to bully you, you can almost always answer with Sej to stabilize the early game and also hard outscale later into the game. She also synergizes well with melee solo laners, so make sure to pick her up when you have auto attack focused champions like Yasuo, Irelia, or Jax on your team. Sejuani also has the best of both worlds. Her W helps her clear camps with multiple enemies, while her E helps her clear single target camps with ease. Sejuani's clear speed and gank potential make her a champion who can be flexible with her jungle pathing as well. Because of this, try to clear camps in whichever lane you want to be putting more pressure on. Since you're able to clear all camps pretty well, make sure to take advantage of your AoE damage with Hunter's Talisman. Your ultimate goal as Sejuani is to get your laners rolling with good ganks. It's important, however, to balance farming in so you can hit your level 6 spike faster, offering you more gank opportunities and the ability to force fights at objectives. In the later stages of the game, your job is to group up with your team, deny vision, and look for hard engages. While Sejuani is a great counter pick, she's also pretty heavily contested in the meta right now. This is Pro Counters after all, so we want to give you guys an FYI that Trundle is a good counter to her and other tanks as well. Alright, now let's hit the mid lane. First up in the mid lane is Fizz. Fizz is a great answer to AD assassin picks while also pressuring many control mages. Zhonya's is a natural part of his get in, get out playstyle. You're going to build it anyway and the armor is just a bonus. In early cloth armor can help neutralize the lethality power spike assassin mid laners get once they finish Dirk. In spite of being a counter to many assassin champions, Fizz himself plays pretty similarly. He's looking for kill pressure in lane and then roaming to side lanes to pick up some kills off of ganks. Fizz can be pretty weak in the early game because you need to commit hard in order to get optimal trades. When your jungler is nearby, take advantage of it and trade aggressively. Use your E to dodge any abilities like a Syndra's Q or Zed's R, while simultaneously dealing damage with it. When maxing E, your wave clear as Fizz is very efficient. It just puts you at risk of getting ganked while it's on cooldown, so just keep that in mind. Use wards or clear the wave when your jungler is nearby. When roaming, don't underestimate Fizz's potential to tower dive. His ult covers a large radius when thrown from max range, and he can also drop tower aggro with his E. Come the mid to late game, play like any other assassin. Sweep, buy pink wards, and look for good picks. Off those picks, look to force objectives or bait your opponents to walk into the fog of war and make more picks. Kassadin is our second pick for the mid lane. With his scaling and natural ability to fight against champions dealing magic damage, Kassadin is a solid pick under certain circumstances. Unfortunately, you'll give up a lot of early game pressure and wave clear by picking Kassadin, and in return you'll have late game assurance and also give your lane opponent a hard time when it comes to certain matchups. While most champions will out wave clear you, you can still out trade many AP champions and apply kill pressure after level 6. When playing Kassadin, look to scale and farm until your first base. Once you have Catalyst, you'll be able to trade more frequently because of the extra mana and sustain it provides. Your goal is to slowly whittle down your opponents until you can take lane priority or solo kill them. If your opponents are playing too safe, then great, you get free farm and win later on in the game. Towards the mid to late game, you'll look to split push and collapse on your opponents. If someone matches you, you should look to fight them 1v1 as you'll be able to win nearly any fight once you have items. While you do want to team fight, you should observe carefully to determine whether or not you want to roam from the side lane. It's important to know when to commit to split pushing instead of grouping with your teammates. Dying during a risky teamfight can potentially cost you the game, so always go for high percentage plays. Alright, so that's enough for the mid lane. Next up is the bot lane. He's back this patch. Draven is still the go-to counter pick in any matchup. Paired with an aggressive support, Draven can definitely snowball any lane in spite of what statistics might say. You can check out our latest episode if you want to learn more about him, but while we're here though, just take advantage of Draven's all-in potential. Partner up with an aggressive support and go ham in the early game. Our second pick is Varus. While not seen as the strongest marksman, some people have forgotten how much damage he can actually do. Varus's damage output ranks close to hyper carries as a result of his on-hit and attack speed steroids. At the same time, what makes Varus a great counter to many of the meta marksmen is that he has answers to all of them. He has long-range poke, strong all-in, and great setup for engages or ganks. Depending on your matchup, you'll need to play differently. In matchups where you're afraid you'll get poked out, you'll want to use your Q to instead poke your opponents every opportunity you get. Play it smart, stay healthy, and wait to level 6. At level 6, your ult gives you a bunch of kill pressure against champions like Caitlyn and Ezreal who are looking to disengage after short bursty trades. If you have jungle pressure, even better. When you're in a winning matchup, you'll want to pressure every time your opponent farms. Varus has slightly more attack range than most marksmen, meaning you'll have the first auto attack if if both of you and your opponent are trying to fight each other. Varus is able to trade effectively by stacking up his W on an opponent and then popping it with his E. Once your opponents get low, you can look for more trades and possibly executes with a W-empowered Q. In the mid to late game, you want to play a hybrid role between a utility carry and a hyper carry. While you're looking for engages with your R, you also need to keep in mind that it could be better to save it for self-peel. Your damage output might not be on par with a Jinx, but it's still excellent, so don't be afraid of playing front to back. Alright, now let's get on to the supports. For all those support mains out there, please click the description link below to go to ProGuides.com, where we have a ton of resources for you to get better at support. There's no better time than now to start climbing for the end of the season rewards. Alright, so the first on our list is Morgana. She is the go-to answer for aggressive supports who like to engage and CC your allies. You can check out more about Morgana in our last episode, where you can learn a lot about her playstyle. And the next pick is going to be Soraka. Soraka scales super well and has favorable matchups into several strong supports. Even in matchups where you'd expect her to lose, she can run barrier to survive bursty all-ins, or tactfully use her silence to give her opponents a hard time. Pyke wants to hook? Well, she'll just use a silence. Alistar wants to combo? Silence as well. Leona wants to R after her stun? You get the idea. Another key matchup is the Yuumi matchup. Soraka can help her lane partner sustain through the poke and also scales just as hard as Yuumi. During laning phase of Soraka, look to poke with your Q. You're quite strong early on because of the short cooldown on your Q, and landing it will help you heal back any damage you take in return. Your goal is to win lane by war of attrition. Any short fights your opponents take will result in you sustaining it back by either landing your Qs or healing your allies back up. In cases where you can't, it's also fine to sit back and scale. You'll play medic in the later stages of the game and provide a ton of extra sustain to carry team fights. Once you're level 6, make sure to be aware of what's happening elsewhere on the map. A clutch ult can be game-changing and potentially create a chance for topside to snowball. If you guys are interested in getting better at Soraka, we have a wonderful guide on ProGuides.com on how to master Soraka with one of Team Liquid's support players. That concludes our episode of Pro Counters. If you guys want to see more content like this, then please click subscribe to be notified of our next video. If you guys are interested in getting better at League of Legends, then please check out ProGuides.com using the description link below. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.